everyone, it's Becky here and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new video. So it feels like the last time I've been recording video was actually ages ago because I did not post video last Saturday, maybe you noticed, and then two videos which I recorded prior to that were recorded actually over 2 weeks ago, so it really seems like ages now and it feels a little strange, but I'm very glad also to be sitting in front of the camera finally because I wanted to be talking about books for so long, but yeah, just didn't really have time. To be honest, I did actually record video for last Saturday because I recorded my March wrap-up, which is something I'm now re-recording again, but the reason why I did not post the video is that I recorded that video at 3 a.m. It's 3 a.m. right now in 4 minutes. It's 2:56 in the morning and I'm recording video for Booktube. And the reason why I recorded that video at 3 a.m. is that because I couldn't sleep, because I just felt, you know, like so overwhelmed and anxious because of what is happening in Ukraine, and it just did not allow me to sleep, and I felt like I needed some, you know, some bookish comfort, and I decided to speak about books. And although I managed to get all my thoughts about the books which I wanted to the video, I realized when I was looking back at it that I just didn't really like myself there because I was really upset, you know, and I just want this place to be, you know, something where people can go to find a little distraction and hopefully something that can cheer them up. So I decided not to post that video, although it was basically ready to go. So that's the reason. And I thought that I would give you little updates about what might be or might not be happening actually in next couple of weeks, because I mentioned already in my Instagram account that I am going to be moving again. Yes, for the third time this year. We have the 4th month in this year and I'm going to be moving for the 3rd time. But I'm actually very excited because, yeah, the place where I currently stay was just temporary. But now the place I found, hopefully, if everything goes well, it will be my home until I eventually would move myself to, you know, somewhere else, maybe even back to Slovakia if it comes to that, but for foreseeable future that would be my new home. And yeah, so regarding that, I just wanted to say that it might happen that I won't be able to do many videos during upcoming weeks because now is basically the middle of the April, and towards the end of April I have one visitor coming from Slovakia, which I'm very excited, and then basically 2 days later my sister is coming, and between these two visitings I am moving. So it's gonna be very busy because I'm also working, as you know, and I'm also trying to do one project which could be submitted to like film festival, so there is just so much stuff happening. And although I really do want to keep reading and do want to make videos, there is a chance that I won't have that much time. So right, without further ado, I will just start to speak about books finally, because that's why you're here. Okay, I'm not quite sure how long I'll be able to film like this because it's almost 7 p.m. now. I did not have other time for filming, so it's gonna be dark soon, but well, anyway, hopefully it will be okay. So the first book, I have my notes here because it's been a while since I finished those books. The first book which I finished in March is called The Nature of Witches, which was absolutely wonderful experience because I was buddy reading this book with Rosika from Midnight Reader, and if there is anyone who haven't done buddy read with her, and I think I was her first person to buddy read with, I mean, go and connect with her and do buddy reads with her because she's absolutely amazing. She really has great on-point comments, but they're also hilarious. I was laughing so much during this time, so I really enjoyed this. And it's basically a book which we kind of planned to have done until the end of February, but because I'm slow reader, we kind of finished it in the first days of March, I think, yeah. So that was the one book, and we both gave this book 3 stars, and I will also link her March wrap-up video to the description down below, because she also do a review about this book in her video, and she does it absolutely perfectly, so you can find more information about the book there as well. But for myself, I gave it 3 stars, same as she did, and I did really enjoy the book. Basically, what is the book about? This is a book about witches and witchcraft, and about how witches are affected by nature and how nature is affected by witches. There is also the theme of, for example, global warming kinda touched in the background, and it's just very interesting because in this story basically every witch has the strongest powers during different seasons. So for example, there are witches that are most powerful during winter, then during the spring, then during summer, and you get the point. But then our main character Clara, she is ever witch, which means that she is the strongest throughout the whole year. She, throughout this story, is basically learning how to manage and how to work with her powers. So basically that her powers and her witchcraft is not in the charge of her, but rather the other way around. Because as we learn at the beginning, because of her magic, she lost her parents and also her friend, and it's something which she needs to live with. So that would be kind of the main point. I must say that I really did enjoy the writing style. I loved the magic system. I think it was written absolutely beautifully. Also the characters, I think they were very well written. There was a character of Sang who was kind of like love interest of our main character, and he was absolutely amazing character who has these special powers when it came to like flowers and plants, and those descriptions were absolutely beautiful. I really enjoyed this because, as you know, I do love flowers and plants. So yeah, it was wonderful. The only minus I would say is that, as Rosika pointed as well, actually there were a couple moments which were a little bit unrealistic, so the actions of the characters, I just didn't feel like they are as it would be in the normal life. So for example, you know, just slapping the teacher and have no consequences out of it, and I'm like, right, I see your point and you are kind of entitled to do it, because I would want to do the same thing, but you just don't do it. You just don't slap the teachers. So yeah, but other than that, very exciting, because she is also writing her second book, or actually she finished, like the author, she finished her book, which is coming out in summer, I think, and with Rosika we would like to buddy read this together again, because we both agreed that this was actually a debut novel of the author, and there is for sure a lot of potential with her writing. So we are very excited to see what is the second book's going to be about, and what is she gonna come up with next, and how her writing will improve, because I think it's really interesting. So the book number 2, which I finished, well actually I did not finish because it was DNF, but the second book which I was reading in March is called Norwegian Wood by Murakami, and this was also a buddy read with wonderful Ray from Ray of Sunlight, and again I will point her video to the description down below, because her review was absolutely amazing and she did finish the book. She read the whole book, so you can find more of her thoughts in her video. For me it was DNF, and I was very disappointed by this, because at the beginning I was so excited to read Murakami because I read one more book from him previously, and I really loved his writing style and I loved the story, although it was non-fiction book. But now I was just so excited to read some more of his work, and although I loved it at the very beginning, I loved the story, I loved the characters, I loved the writing style, I felt like the more I was reading the book, the less I liked many things about it, and then eventually it became very difficult for me to pick the book up and just continue reading, and at the end I just never picked it up again. This is a story of Toru, who is studying at college. He is a young boy and he is very fond of his friend Naoko, and she is very lovely, very beautiful girl, and they used to be a good trio of friends with also another boy in their class, but unfortunately this boy died a couple years ago, and that's something that both of them, Naoko and Toru, needs to basically live with, and they both are trying to deal with it in their own ways. And whilst Toru manages to keep going with his life and participate in college and in normal life, you could say, Naoko is really struggling, and basically at the end she ends up in the institution. And throughout this story we follow how their relationship develops, but yeah, Toru is trying to reach out to her, and that's all where I was able to read, because then after that I stopped reading. I think the main reason would be that, I mean, yeah, first of all, just to let you know, there are also a couple trigger warnings to be aware of. For example, mental health issues, obviously death, suicide, and all of these things, so it's something to be aware of. But I don't mind reading about these things, I find it quite interesting, but I think Ray pointed this out as well, that I felt like at certain point this book started to romanticize mental illness and mental health issues, and it felt like it kind of tells you that your issues can be solved by someone else, or just by being with someone else, which I am a romantic person and I really wish that that was the case, but unfortunately it's not how it works in real life in most cases. So yeah, there were just a couple things which did not sit very well with me, and eventually I just stopped reading completely. So yeah, DNF. So for my next read, I actually have a physical copy of the book because of the Murakami. I also had a physical copy, but it was borrowed and I already gave it back to my friend, so I did not have that one, but here I have the physical copy. And if you remember, this is a book which I bought to myself as a gift for finishing, well, not finishing, but achieving 1 year on the Booktube, and I'm so glad I decided to pick this book up because it's absolutely wonderful and I loved it very much. I heard absolutely lovely reviews before I read this book and it really did not disappoint because yeah, it was wonderful. I gave it 5 stars. And basically, what is this story about? We have our main character called Kokoro, who is a young girl who really struggles with school because she faced a lot of, you know, like bullying and issues with her classmates. She does have no friends at all, and eventually that leads to her not attending school at all, and she feels very lonely. She doesn't have anyone to talk to. Even her parents, although they are trying, it's very difficult for them to basically get closer with her. And what happens one day is that the mirror in her room starts to shine, and through this mirror she is able to get to this magical place, this magical castle, which is on the other side of the mirror. And there eventually she meets other teenagers and other kids of her age who struggles with very similar problems because they are lonely, they have no friends, they also face different sort of like bullying and torture in the school, and together they need to find the way for finding a wishing key, which is absolutely amazing idea. And I'm not gonna be telling you much more about this other than it's beautiful, it's a magical realism, it's set in Japan. And recently I've been really interested to read more of Japanese literature or stories based in Japan because I haven't read many of those previously, but now I was very interested. So there was something very nice as well about this book, and yeah, it was wonderful. We have character of Wolf Queen, which was amazing. We have a wishing key, we have magical mirror, we have castle. So yeah, and the cover is absolutely stunning. So I was very happy with this book. I'm thinking what else I wanted to say. Let me give you a quick look. Oh yeah. Again, point to trigger warnings, which is very important because, as I mentioned, there was quite a lot of bullying and you know, loneliness. But also, what is this book beautiful for is the explanation of why friendship and relationship and human connection is so important, and how we as humans need other people to interact with, and you know, just the importance of friendship. And I just found it very beautiful. Also, the reason why I love this book so much is that I found it quite relatable. I mean, not in the way that luckily I never been, you know, like bullied. I never struggled at school or anything, but I used to also have quite a lot of problems with my stomach when I was in primary school, which was also some problem which Kokoro was facing because, you know, because of the stress, most likely. Sometimes, you know, you can see it on your health, and stomach is usually one place where your stress goes to. So she was also struggling with like health issues regarding her stomach, and there was the same thing for me when I was in primary school. And there was also a couple times when I was not able to attend school, and then it was a little bit more difficult for me to keep up with friendships in primary school because, you know, being at the primary school, the friendships might be a little bit difficult. So for me, it was just wonderful read, and I could not wait to finish this book, and I just kind of wish it would never end. But yeah, definitely 5 stars. If you haven't read this book, highly recommend you to pick it up. Right, so for another book, I don't have a physical copy, so I'm just gonna grab my tea again with the Slodmak. So another book which I finished in March and gave it 5 stars because it was absolutely beautiful is called I May Be Wrong, and the name of the author, let me read this please, is Björn Natthiko Lindeblad. This is a book which I discovered thanks to the all-time favorite podcast called Happy Place, which is done by Fern Cotton, and it was actually one of the best episodes I ever heard, and I will try to find it somehow and maybe link it to the description down below, because I know that quite often you are able to find the podcast episode on YouTube, but I'm not sure if this is the case of this one. But if yes, I will try to link it down below so you'll be able to watch or listen to it as well. And it was just absolutely wonderful, but unfortunately the author, he is not with us anymore. He passed away before actually the episode of the podcast was aired, and also before the book came out. So it's really incredible story, and this is not a fiction, it's actually a memoir or autobiographic book about Björn and his life as a forest monk. And it's absolutely wonderful story because I never read anything like this regarding, you know, for example, Buddhism or monasteries and these sort of things, so it was new experience for me. But basically what he describes in this book is his whole life from the point when he was growing up in Sweden, and he was from very good family, from very loving family, and his parents made sure that he gets very good education, and actually in quite a young age he got to very high position in one of the like bank or economy, something to do with banks and economy and money and financial companies in Sweden. But suddenly he felt this massive urge that, okay, something is taking me to different direction, and he ended up to becoming a forest monk for over 20 years. And it's just wonderful to listen to his experience and why he actually ended up there, and what actually he had to learn, and how he lived, and all the rules the forest monks need to deal with and live by, and what you can do, what you cannot do. And it was just incredible. And what is even more interesting is that actually in the age of, I think it was after 40s, in his 40s, he realized that once again he feels this calling to leave the monastery and lead different life, which I think is absolutely wonderful, because I feel like sometimes we feel like, okay, after 40s or in our 50s, we cannot really change much, like, yeah, we have this way of living and that's how we're gonna live until we die. But in this book I just felt like, well, it's never too late. You can be 40, you can be 50, and if you feel calling for something, you can still go and do it, you know. So that was wonderful. And what he decided to do is to leave the monastery. He came back to Sweden to his family. He also got married, and it was wonderful. But then later on he got diagnosed with this illness which was not curable. Is that the word? Yeah, and then eventually he passed away on the day he decided. So I am not saying this to spoil anything for you. I'm just saying this because I want you to read this, because it's wonderful and it offers a lot of, you know, like wonderful thoughts and wisdom on life. And usually I'm not very much into, how to say, like motivational books or something like that, but this was just absolutely lovely experience, and I'm already repeating myself with wonderful and lovely, but it was. So if you haven't heard about this book, I highly recommend you to have a look at it, and if you are able to, just listen to the podcast and also read the book, because absolutely wonderful. Okay, my friends, and now I'm moving to another book which I gave 5 stars to, and that's the last physical book which I have here, and then I have one more which was audiobook, and the book is called Outspoken, which I borrowed from my which I borrowed from my flatmate's library, because she has a lot of very interesting books on like women power, feminism, and I haven't read much of these kind of books, so I was very interesting. And as you can see, this book contains 50 speeches by incredible women, and it's really incredible book. And I think it's a very good start for if you are someone like me who, for example, wanted to read more on this theme, so like, you know, women and feminism and all of these sort of themes, but you don't really know where to start. This is great starting point, because here I must confess that I did not know, or I still do not recognize 90% of the names which are written here, but it's a great way how to start with your research, because here you have speeches from people such as Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, Jamila Jamil, Queen Elizabeth I, Nora Ephron, Greta Thunberg, Emma Watson, Annie Sprinkle, Audre Lorde, and just many others, obviously 50. But it's absolutely incredible, absolutely wonderful. I must say that my favorites were I think it was Audre Lorde, actually, yeah, that was an incredible speech. And then another one which I was surprised myself was by Emma Watson, speech on feminism, because I never really paid attention to Emma Watson as to someone who, you know, like fights for women's rights and feminism, although I know she participates a lot in movements like this, but I never really paid attention to it. And mostly for me, she was, you know, like actress. But now after reading this speech, I'm like, okay, the girl's, she really knows something, you know. So it was absolutely incredible. And for me, like the biggest achievement which I achieved this year, or like on my whole YouTube existence, is that when I posted this on my Instagram account, my sister told me that she ordered this book according to my recommendation. And for all of you who knows what is it to have a siblings and get them to listening to you, I mean, this is like winning Academy Award for book recommendations, because my sister got a book after me recommending it. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was really great. Anyway, highly recommend to pick this book up. It's non-fiction. Also, what is great about this book is that it's divided into a couple sections. Well, basically there are 10 chapters and every chapter is split into different parts, and it touches on the topics such as politics, freedom, your body, and then, for example, love, white supremacy and stuff like this. So it's very, very interesting, and the speeches are concluded here from, I think, was it 1600s, was one of the first speeches recording in here up until this point. So incredible book, and definitely I would like to give this, I would like to get this for myself as well, because really, really great. Right, it's getting a little dark. Never mind, I'm gonna mention one more book, and then for my April TBR I'll see what I can do with the lighting. So the last book which I will mention, but I was kind of deciding that maybe I just won't mention it at all, but anyway. One of the books which I had as audiobook during the March was called Mary Ann by Daphne du Maurier, and this was the strangest experience for me, because I see sometimes when I listen to audiobooks during the first maybe 30-40 minutes, I always feel very confused and I feel like I don't know what is really happening, and it always scares me. But then after, you know, less than 1 hour, I actually realize, oh yeah, I know what is going on. But I don't know, it's just the thing I have with audiobooks, so if there is anyone who has the same problem, please let me know. But with this book, I was listening, it's quite long, I think it has like 16 hours or something, and I was listening to this book, and after like 7 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, you know, 12 hours, I realized that I'm still waiting for the point to kind of click. But then I realized I have no idea what is going on. Like, I have 3 hours left in this book still, and if you would ask me what is the story about, who is the main character, what is going on, I have no clue. I have no clue even who Mary Ann is as a character, and I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, I absolutely refuse to admit that this would be, you know, like the mistake of the author, because it's Daphne du Maurier, so the book must be absolutely amazing. I'm sure it's my mistake somehow. But yeah, I just don't know what happened. So I decided not to give any star rating to this book, and I'm just gonna pretend that I did not touch it, and I'm gonna be listening to it one more time at some point, and then I will do like a proper review. So please don't be discouraged by this, but I just wanted to mention it because it belonged to my March reading experience. But yeah, it's really mystery to me. I don't know what happened. Right, so those were all the books I read in March actually, and I'm gonna figure out something with the lighting, and then I will be talking about the books which I am reading now in April. Okay, I don't think this is any better. I'm trying to figure it out, the white balance, but it's not doing much at this point. Okay, well, it is what it is. Hello. From sunny living room. Oh well. Anyway, April's TBR. I have absolutely amazing April right now because it's the mid-April, and so far I've been reading 2 books. I was hoping to read a little bit more, but I mean, it's still time. But the 2 books I'm currently reading are quite thick. So the first book I'm going to be talking about is this one called Pachinko. Can you see it? Yeah, called Pachinko, and I'm doing this as a participation of Read Along, which is organized by one and only wonderful Gemma from Gem of Books. And I just love this book so much. I wanted to read this book for ages. It's been on my TBR for ages, but then Gemma said there's going to be a read along, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna participate. So I'm approximately right now where I am. Yeah. Anyway, in the middle of the book. Not that it's important, but I am in the middle of the book and I love it so much right now. It's a story which is again set in Korea and Japan, and it's absolutely lovely story about different generations of people. And I don't want to be talking about this book too much because so far I really am curious what's gonna happen and how it's gonna end, and once I finish this book I might do even a separated book review because I feel like it's really incredible story. So yeah, this is the first book I'm reading and I love it absolutely much. Also, the read along is so wonderful because I finally pushed myself into creating a Voxer account. That's how you say it. Yeah, I downloaded Voxer app. Basically there is no much of a story or much of a science behind it, but for me, you know, like technicalities granny, it is a big thing. So if anyone else would need to use Voxer for buddy reads, now I'm available there as well as Teacup the Storyteller, just so you know. But and it's also wonderful because we I mean, how many? Maybe 15 of us. There are other 15 booktubers who are reading this, and I absolutely love all of them, and I always love to chat with them in the comments, and now I can do it in a chat. So it's absolutely amazing, and I just, oh my gosh, I'm having a blast, as you can say. Okay, and the book number 2, which is also a buddy read, it's called Still Life, and yes, can you see? And I'm doing this as a buddy read with art from Bookshelf Odyssey, and ooh, okay, I was so excited to read this book, and I'm approximately here, like this part, this is what I read. But I need to get another 100 pages done by Friday, so now I'm recording this and it's Tuesday, yeah. So I still have a lot of stuff to crack on, but this is interesting book. It's a historical novel which is based in excuse me, which is based in Italy, in Tuscany, I think. But the problem I have right now with this book is that it started really slow and I get quite lost in the characters and in the places. I mean, I read already over 100 pages, but still at this point I feel like sometimes I don't really know who is who when the characters start talking, and I feel like places are just appearing out of nowhere. And on the top of it, it's quite similar in many ways as Pachinko right now. Like, we have also quite a lot of characters, and also our main character, he has a little scar on the lip, which is also a thing one of the characters in Pachinko had as well. So, I mean, yeah, what a coincidence, but at the same time it was really messing with my head. So, as much as I enjoy reading with art, and I'm very excited to see what's gonna happen, I'm hoping it will get slightly better. I mean, I do have some quotes underlined already, which I really like, and I must say that the first part of the book, which I just finished, was having very intriguing ending, so I'm curious to read more and I'm hoping it will get better. So right now these are the 2 books I am reading, and I'm very excited. And if that happens, that I have time to read a little bit more, what I would like to read as well is How to Burn This Book, which is a book I wanted to read already in March, but then, you know, I got really busy and then I had reading slump, so I did not read this book. But it's something I would like to read because it's a collection of short stories, I believe, which was sent to me by the author himself, and I would really like to read this because the story seems to be very bizarre but very interesting. And yes, still, if I would have time, I do have my absolutely lovely dreamy TBR and so many books which I do want to read from that. So yeah, I will leave it as a free space there, and if I have time I will read more, but as I mentioned, it's going to be very busy upcoming few weeks, so we'll see how it goes. And I'm thinking if there is anything else I wanted to mention. Yeah, actually there is. So 2 other updates regarding my reading. The first of all, which I wanted to mention already like a month ago, but I always forget, is regarding Outlander, because if you remember in one of my first videos of this year, where I was talking about my bookish goals, I mentioned that I would really like to read the whole series. I don't know if you can hear the rain, but it's raining the whole day and now it's really beating the windows. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to finish the whole series of Outlander in 2022, and the reason why I'm mentioning this, because I was kind of thinking of never bringing this up, but the reason why I am doing it is that a couple of you messaged me throughout these couple months asking how is my reading going and if we could do a buddy read of upcoming books in the series. Unfortunately, no. I'm more than happy to do any buddy read with you and pick up some book, but yeah, I was reading Outlander and I stopped after like first half of the book, and the reason for it is really weird because I just was getting such a strong mommy vibes from Claire towards Jamie that I could not read. I could not keep reading, and it's so weird because, see, I really don't mind the age gap in, you know, like in relationship, not even in real life. Like if people are, you know, you can have difference of age, whatever you want. I mean, as long as you are happy and as long as it's legal, I'm fine with that. And even in Outlander, the age gap is not that big, but here I don't know if it was the way it was written, but I just felt like she is very much like mommy-like towards him, and I'm like, okay, you know what, no. Very strange. I might be the only one, please don't hate me, but yeah. So I put the book down for a while, and now it's been 3 months and I did not pick the book up again. So if there is anyone else who would like to read something with me, please, yes, I would love to do buddy read, but not of Outlander. And then the second update which I have is that in my previous in my March TBR, I mentioned that one of the books I wanted to read in March was Romanov, which was also supposed to be a buddy read, but then we eventually decided we are not gonna be reading this book in March or even now because of everything that is happening right now at Ukraine, because the book is based about the Romanov family from Russia, and we just felt like we want to have little, you know, like distance from this kind of stories for a while. And I'm mentioning this again because many of you mentioned in the comments that you wanted to read this book as well, and that you are very interesting to hear my thoughts, which I am very grateful for. But just to let you know that we pushed reading this book for a little bit later. And also, meanwhile, I got a couple questions from you if you could still do this as a buddy read with me. So yes, please do. If there is still anyone interested, let me know, and then eventually once we decide to read this book, I will just let you know. I will add you into the group chat and we can have even like read along. I don't mind, because eventually I do want to read this book, because I've spoken about this in the group chat as well, that as much as I like strongly disagree and as much as heartbroken I am because of what is happening, I just feel like, you know, very easily put, it's not the fault of the book, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't want to get into this very much. But unless there would be, you know, sharing some propaganda, which I'm absolutely against right now or even anytime. Yeah, I don't want to get very lost into this conversation. But anyway, we are not reading Romanov right now, but we pushed it into later time. Right. Right, my friends, I'm picking up my slot Teacup. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Apologies for not posting last week, and also hopefully I will see you soon, but I'm not quite sure when it's gonna be. Thank you very much for being here all this time, for your lovely comments, and if there is anyone else who is new and you enjoyed this video and you consider subscribing, please do so, because yeah, I would love to have you here and also chat with you in the comments. So if there is anything you would like to say, please leave the comment down below and I will definitely answer, because yeah, I love it the most here. So yes, without further ado, thank you very much again. Have a lovely time. Please stay safe wherever you are, and I will see you with another video hopefully very soon. Bye bye.